Well, hello and welcome, or welcome back to Read Becca. It is that time again where we discuss all the things we want to read in the upcoming month, and of course, fail miserably. Oh, not really. Hopefully we will get to most of these. March is particularly hard though, because there are so many awesome readathons. March and November, I think, are big months for readathons, and I want to participate in them all. If we could just convince my boss at work that I just need the month off to read, that would be great. But that's not reality. It's not going to happen. So unfortunately, I have to pare down and really focus what I'm reading. So I did actually film this already previously. I went to edit and realized I said a couple things just completely wrong. So I was like, I'm going to film again. And I also, in the intervening time, picked up another book as an option for another readathon. So I've already expanded my plans and the month hasn't even started yet. But that's exciting because I do actually think I can fit in this final book. So let's start with the definites, I think. The first readathon I really want to participate in is March Mystery Madness. Now, I've seen two different versions of the prompts where there's either 4 or 3 prompts. I think I can hit all 4 of the possible prompts with 2 books. So that's what I'm going to go for. And I think it's going to be very easily doable, I hope. So the main theme of March Mystery Madness this year is spring cleaning. And the 3 prompts that everybody seems to agree on are rinse, lather, and repeat. So the extra one is just messy, and the word messy. And so I think that should tie into any of them potentially. But in general, for the first book that I'm selecting for that, I've got Simon Brett's The Clutter Corpse. Now, I actually picked up the 3rd book from this series by accident. Well, not really by accident. I mean, it was intentional that I was picking up the book. I didn't realize it was the 3rd book when I picked it up. I'm sure I can read these in any order, most likely. But I let the time run out. Basically, I just never actually got to it because it was a new release and it had to go back. So I realized I did kind of want to read the series, but I would start from the first book. And so now is the time to get back to the series and with the first book, which is this one. And this should obviously fit because it's a decluttering mystery. It's all about a declutterer who gets caught up in finding a body in a hoarder house, I believe, and then having to investigate that mystery. Sounds very interesting, very quirky. I don't think this is a cozy, but it does sound like it has kind of maybe some levity to it and obviously quirky characters and premise. So it might lean over into a cozy premise. So for our prompts, obviously that hits messy, which might be a prompt or might not be a prompt. I think it is lather that is for a detective who is cleaning up the crime scene. I could be mixing that up. I should have checked or written it down, but I'll have all the prompts down below. It's fine. So I think it hits those 2. And I'm looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be fun. It's a very quick read, it looks like. So excited about that one. The second one is Charms and Chocolate Chips by Bailey Cates. This is the 3rd in the Magical Bakery Mysteries. And you can see this is a cozy, got a little dog, a cat, some baked goods, some witchy goodness there, because this is a fantasy contemporary cozy mystery series. And as I said, this is the 3rd one. I have read the previous 2. So because of that, I think this counts for the other 2 prompts, which are rinse, I think, is cozy. So rinse is you read a cozy mystery. And repeat is an author you've read from before, which I've already read previous books in the series, so obviously I've read the author before. So I think between these 2 we hit the prompts. This is a delightful southern set. I think it's Savannah, Georgia. I'm pretty sure Savannah's a big city, but this is treated as very like small community maybe within the city. It gives that like found family, small community vibes, definitely, that are cozy. It's set in a bakery. Katie Lightfoot is our character who has moved to Savannah to take over as the main baker running her aunt and uncle's bakery. And at the same time, she discovers she is a witch. So she gets involved in these sort of magical hijinks along the way. And of course, murder happens. So in cozy mysteries, usually it's a side character that's not important, or a character is specifically introduced into the story to be murdered, things like that. So it's not someone you're attached to really There's very low drama for the most part. So that's what I like about cozies. There's also usually a prominent romance element to this series. So I'm looking forward to that because it is, here, it's an arc that has taken place over the course of the series rather than like each book being a different romance. And I'm liking it as far as the first 2 books went. So we will see how this one goes. I don't want to get into synopsis on this one because obviously it's the 3rd in series, but I'm assuming it's going to hit all of those beats. So that's for March Mystery Madness. Then we have yet another big one, middle grade March. And I am picking a major like classic of, or not classic, this is like a modern classic of middle grade, I guess. Redwall is a big name that I have not read before. And Brian Jacques, I know some people say Jakes, but to me that's Jacques. This Redwall series is a massive series. I have a ton of the books and I haven't read it yet. I think I'm going to love it. As far as I know, this first book, we're following the mice of Redwall, which is an abbey, I think, in the woods. And they're beset by the horde of a one-eyed rat who is laying siege to the abbey, I believe. So that's the plot of this first one. But from what I hear, very atmospheric, lots of food writing. So again, very cozy vibes to this. I think you're going to see a trend there in my reading for the upcoming months is definitely going to be leaning cozy. So I'm very excited to get to this one for middle grade March. And then if I can finish that, or really if I can finish my whole TBR, I have a ton of other middle grade that I do want to get to, primarily sequels. But this one is from my physical TBR shelf for the year, so that is knocking off a goal there. And then if I can get to some sequels, if I have time, I would be thrilled. Next, we have the big one, March of the Mammoths. And I have a mammoth for you, Byzantium by Stephen R. Lougheed. This one is also on my physical TBR for the year, so it was on last year's physical TBR too, and I didn't get to it, so it carried over. But I'm very excited to get to this because by chance, someone broke rule 1 for Steve Donahue and sent him a bunch of Stephen Lougheed's books, the Pendragon Cycle. And I loved those books growing up. So I have, as an adult, been sort of collecting secondhand any of his work that I find, including this one, and hadn't been getting around to them. And so I put this on my TBR last year, still didn't get around to it. And then after Steve Donahue got to the series and was just so enthusiastic about it, I was reminded that I really do love this author and need to get to this. So this is historical fiction. Stephen Lougheed writes both historical fiction and historical fantasy, very sort of grounded though. This one is following, I think, a former heir who has turned scribe. And as a scribe, he winds up on this sort of epic journey to Byzantium, carrying with him and a group of monks the Book of Kells, and they're basically taking to the Empire of Byzantium this sort of mystical book that they have. And so this journey, I think, is both figurative and literal because he progresses as a person and really goes through some trials along the way. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. But this is a big chunky tome. Even as a mass market paperback, it is almost 900 pages. So I think that counts as a mammoth. I'm going to count it as a mammoth either way. But I think this is going to be really compulsively readable. I find Lougheed's writing really, really good. It just has been a very long time since I've read any of his work, so I'm a little nervous I will not reflect back on it as well as I thought I did, except that Steve Donahue kind of put in my mind that he really loved it as much as he had remembered. So I'm very, very hopeful that it will go that way for me. This is a Christian author as well. I would say he has stuff that has been traditionally published, stuff that has been published through Christian publishing houses. So he does tend to have strong themes there, but unlike a lot of Christian fiction, he tends to use it as something that is historically accurate within his world building, rather than like trying to force themes in there that often comes off kind of cheesy in a lot of Christian fiction. So I don't find it as heavy-handed in most of his books. Some of them are more or less heavy than others though. So it does vary. I have not read this one before, but I am really, really looking forward to it. And then my late joiner in the books is one I happened to see on the shelf at the library and was totally shocked that it was there, but I really shouldn't be. They have such a great selection. And that is Foster by Claire Keegan. I have missed out on small things like these and wanted to get to it. And then, of course, this is a previous book of hers that was, I guess, just published in the US. It had previously been published in Ireland. And, of course, this is for the Irish readathon, which is going on all of March. Again, I will link details for that readathon down below. I haven't paid attention to any prompts or anything, but the main goal, as with all of these, is just to sort of hit the topic and read within the topic. So I don't know very much about this one. It is, I think, under 100 pages. So yet another tiny one. I believe I'll be able to fit it in because of that. And we're following a girl who is sent to live on a farm with some relatives, and I think some strange things are going on there. So I don't want to know any more than that, and I'm very excited to finally get to some Claire Keegan because everyone has been really loving her little novellas. So I think that is it for my reading for this month. As I said, I am super excited about March and all the readathons and participating as much as I possibly can. I will clearly read more than this, and hopefully we'll catch up on the few things that I do still have yet to read from past TBRs. I also have my bestseller project. One of my goals for this year is to pick up a bestseller every month, at least by the 15th of the month. And I'm currently wrapping up my February bestseller still, but I think I will have ample time to find a new bestseller within March, so I will be getting to that eventually. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching.